Hey, welcome to the Dear Creator YouTube channel. If this is your first time here, hey. If this is not your first time here, that means that you're my in friend and you are willing to go within yourself and beyond the content that we're consuming today. So today's question is, do you have a desire to learn about gentle parenting? And I have three different frameworks that I'm going to use in today's experience. One is going to be called ADS, another is going to be called BIDS, and the last is called CAP. Each framework has three sets of questions, three set of approaches as we go through the content that we're consuming today. So I've been inspired to use this framework not only for today's content, but for other content with the mindset that we are consumers in one way or the other, and we're also creators of our content, of our character. And so when we consume content, it's going to be related to how we consume the advertising that buys products or services, but we're thinking about the ideas that we may or may not adopt and how do we consume this information? Are we reacting to it or are we responding to the content? And so today I'm going to share with you three frameworks at the end of today's video. You can check them out in the description box below just so that we can get ahead into the content. But after today's content, I'm going to explain each framework and I'm also going to show you how I use the framework and why. So today's framework and content is inspired by Mr.Chazz. Who is Mr.Chazz? Mr.Chazz, whose full name is Chazz Lewis, is an educator and parenting coach dedicated to helping adults see, guide, and trust children. He began his career in the classroom where he discovered a passion for inspiring curiosity and possibility in children. Now he shares his insights through social media, podcasts, and speaking engagements, focusing on conscious discipline and fostering patience and empathy in parenting and teaching. I was inspired to share this content originally because I came across another content creator from another video who said that gentle parenting, that it was lazy parenting. And my body was like, it can't be. This takes a lot of work, a lot of inner work, because I cannot just hit and be done with it or scream and be done with it. I have to think about how the way that I respond to my children has an impact on the type of adult they become. And this is where I become really engaged in this concept of gentle parenting. For one, I feel like there is value behind learning gentle parenting in its fullness, and there's still more for me to learn. And two, I know there is a connection between how there are adults in this world who are making decisions that are leaders and haven't had a gentle parenting approach, but they had what's called fear-based parenting. So before I get into that, I'm going to let Mr.Chazz walk us through his gentle parenting approach. So let's take a look at this content together. I felt like I was really passionate when I said that. I just feel like I was like, okay. So forgive me for like ruin, but I just wanted to let y'all feel that this is important. This gentle parenting thing is important. It can save the world.
Put the purse back, honey.
Now throw it in there and see what happens.
Put the purse back now!
I'm going to break down the difference between fear-based parenting, gentle parenting, and conscious discipline because a lot of people are confused. Let's start with fear-based parenting. Fear-based parenting relies on fear, control, and shame to try to get children to do what you want them to do, as seen in this video right here.
Put the purse back, honey.
Now throw it in there and see what happens.
Put the purse back now! See?
Fear-based parenting is the most popular parenting style in the world because one, when you're just trying to survive, it's natural for you to just use your survival skills. And when you want to thrive, if the only skills you've been modeled and taught and seen are survival state skills and emotional state skills, it's going to be really hard for you to learn different skills and to practice those different skills that will actually help you and your family thrive without relying on fear. One of the many reasons why fear-based parenting is ineffective at best and harmful at worst is that when children mess up, it relies on us sending children to the lower centers of the brain where they cannot learn new information and what to do better next time they're in that situation. Fear-based parenting encourages children to avoid and create problems, while gentle parenting and conscious discipline encourages children to solve problems. Now, let's talk about gentle parenting, which is also known as authoritative parenting. Gentle parenting focuses on the combination of firm limits and nurturing care. together. The combination of firm boundaries and loving warmth is a well-researched approach to parenting. In the literature, they refer to it as authoritative parenting, and now we just call it gentle parenting. Gentle parenting relies on connection and collaboration to help children develop physically, emotionally, cognitively, and socially. The challenge with gentle parenting is that it's more of an idea than a specific framework. So there's lots of room for interpretation when we talk about what is firm boundaries and loving warmth. And without a specific framework, a lot of adults have a hard time practicing gentle parenting because they don't even know what it looks like or what it sounds like. And most people who are trying to do gentle parenting grew up with fear-based parenting, so they don't have a lot of examples. Because gentle parenting is a vague idea that's very popular, you get lots of videos like this one.
That's not a good choice. Theo, make a good choice, please. Theo, Abby, don't hit him. That's also not a good choice. Theo, get out. Theodore, get out of the bucket!
Get out of the fridge. Come on. Yes. Come on.
Get the fuck out of the freezer.
Now, this parent thinks she's gentle parenting. And I can understand her interpretation because she thinks that she's setting a boundary and she's doing it lovingly. But she doesn't realize to set firm, loving boundaries, we have to improve our communication skills and our connection skills. If you're trying to develop skills within children and you're not trying to develop those skills within yourself, you're going to be ineffective because you can't teach a skill that you don't have. And that brings me to conscious discipline, which is the framework that I practice and talk about on this channel. Conscious discipline is a brain-based learning approach that provides strategies for you to teach skills that last a lifetime. The whole conscious discipline framework is in this book, and it's the framework I use on this account. What conscious discipline does is that it teaches you to understand behavior by identifying the brain state that you and or your child or children are in. Then they outline skills that would be helpful for the different brain states that the child might happen to be in. It offers brain science to back up the skills. It offers key phrases and scripts that you can use that connect with the skills. And conscious discipline has created its own physical tools, or we call structures, that connect with the skills in conscious discipline. And you might have noticed that it's color coordinated. It's color coordinated for a reason, because the skills for the lower centers of the brain are helpful for the higher centers of the brain. But the skills for the higher centers of the brain are unlikely to be helpful when a child is in the lower centers of their brain. And this is really important because sometimes, especially in gentle parenting, we use a lot of really great strategies, but sometimes we use them at the wrong time when it's not so helpful. And conscious discipline teaches you when those strategies would be most likely to be helpful. And people from all over the world practice conscious discipline. And then we come together for conferences and talk about how we're each applying conscious discipline in our own unique and different ways, how we're adding our own little flavor and sauce to it. Because although conscious discipline comes with scripts, like Latoya says, the scripts are just the training wheels. Once you get used to them, kick them bad boys off and use your own language, use your own style, make it sound more authentic for you. Now, the challenge with conscious discipline is that it truly requires the adult to go onto a transformational journey. Conscious discipline isn't something you can practice with fidelity without working on yourself first. It's an adult first program, which means that it requires us as the adult to change our own behavior before we expect the child to change their behavior, which is different than the fear-based approach, which only commands the child to change their behavior and doesn't require anything of us as the adult. Let's quickly walk through a couple of examples.
It's hot on the bottom. Don't drop it. No. It's hot on the bottom. It's hot on the bottom.
This adult is triggered into emotional state because she expects the child to change the way that they process information as opposed to recognizing her power to change the way that she gives the information. if she communicated in a way that showed and told the child what to do, she would be more successful. She could have said, hold the bowl on the sides like this, and then put the bowl in a position for him to hold it on the sides and for him to be successful. Let's do another example real quick.
Can you stop hitting me with that? Can you please stop hitting me with that? Thank you. Stop!
This is another problem that we can solve without relying on fear. It could be as simple as, oh, you want to play? Make me some food.
Please get out the cabinet.
Get your motherfucking ass out the cabinet!
Instead, we could say, close the cabinet door like this, and let's find something else to do. Here are your choices. And then we give them 2 positive choices. And honestly, it doesn't even matter how they react, because conscious discipline has a skill for how we can respond in a healthy and effective way. Now look, even though a fear-based approach is the most popular approach in the entire world, I believe that most of those people using that fear-based approach would use conscious discipline if they understood it and they had experience with it. But the reality is, a majority of people don't understand it, and a minority of people have actually experienced it in real life. But that's why I make these videos, so that you can understand it. And ultimately, it's up to you to create your own experiences in your household or your classrooms. And if you watch my videos and you appreciate my non-judgmental, empathetic approach, or how I give very specific examples and tell you exactly what to do, or how I use visuals to communicate some of the things that I'm saying, you have experienced conscious discipline in a very small way. And that probably has something to do with why you chose to watch this very long video. Now, some people might have heard that last line and they're just like, someone sent this to me. I'm only watching this because someone sent it to me. And that's probably true. And the fact of the matter is, you're still watching it. You're still right here watching it. And why did you watch it? You're watching it because your connection with that person who sent this to you. And that's conscious discipline, because connection primes the brain for willingness. Now, I hope this video helped you become more aware of where you're at on your journey. And if you want to learn the conscious discipline framework, then get this book. If you want to learn how to self-regulate and teach your child to self-regulate, then get this book. If you want me to send you a link to these books, then do whatever it says in the caption. And remember, it's not about being perfect every day. It's about improving a little every day. I hope this helped.
Yes, it does help, Mr. Chazz. And so what I want to do with you all today is I want to share with you 3 different frameworks that I want to use in the content that I'm sharing with you all, just so that we can have some practical takeaways, some journal assignments, or some approaches that we can actually implement in our day-to-day. So I think that consuming content to a certain degree can be helpful to us, because it's almost as if we are reading a book. Some people may disagree, but one way that we can apply knowledge is by receiving knowledge, and through experiences. We can receive knowledge through conversation and connection. So I want to share with you 3 different frameworks, and I'm relating it to the stock market, the stock exchange. So every time we come to a video, it's called the thought exchange. And so you can either be a bidder, where you're just exploring the content, just seeing if you're interested, almost researching the stock, where that's the content creator and whatever they're offering. Or you can look at it as ads. You're actually going to invest. So this is an advertising, a pitch to you to see whether or not this is something that you would consume and adopt in your life. Or you can be a creator, and this is going to be where you put your cap on and your thinking hat in order to find out how you can take this content, be inspired by it, or maybe even challenged by it, and maybe produce something differently. So for today's experience, I actually chose cap, which is putting on my creator cap and engage it in this content so that I can publish something new. But I also want to share with you the other 2 frameworks. So let's go through these frameworks together. So again, you can either be someone who is gently exploring, you're just trying to get an idea if this content is something that is of interest. You can be someone who's willing to invest because you like the idea of digital parenting. So you're just analyzing to see if it's the best approach for you. Or C, you are a creator and you're inspired and you want to be able to create some journal prompt or a blog, a reflection post based off of the content that we're consuming. With Mr. Chazz content in mind, let's look at the 3 different frameworks together. So framework 1 is bid. So the purpose of bid is It's designed for the initial engagement with the content, focusing on casually exploring ideas without the commitment to adapt to them. It mirrors window shopping in a marketplace where you browse and consider what's available. So, browsing. So, here's a question: what topics or concepts are being presented? What catches my attention? Then you can go to I, which interpret, understand the message. So seek to comprehend the meaning behind the content. So when we're reviewing Mr.Chazz content, what do you think the creator's main point is? What is the creator trying to communicate or achieve? Then we have D, which is discern. Evaluate your personal relevance. So reflect on how the ideas resonate with you personally. Does this idea make sense to me? How does it align or conflict with my existing knowledge or belief system? So you're not committed, you're just exploring. You're focusing on understanding the initial impression, and there's no pressure in adopting these new ideas. So this can be someone who doesn't know about gentle parenting, someone who's just exploring gentle parenting. You do not have to commit to gentle parenting. You're just exploring it and seeing if it's something that resonates with you because you're taking the time to be a listener, which is one thing that we're going to practice here with Dear Creator. So let's look at the next framework we have, which is ads. So ads, again, is about making intentional choices to invest in certain ideas, much like purchasing the stocks you believe will yield results. It involves a deeper level of commitment and planning on how to integrate the idea into your life. So now you put your framework in as a person who might be willing to try something new. So we're not just going to sit on the sidelines and we're not just going to talk about something. We're going to be willing to either listen or to implement this in our lives, but we have to be able to really know why we're doing so. So here we have A, D, and S, because this is ad, this is advertising. So analyze, examine the idea thoroughly. So what are the strengths and weaknesses of the ideas that's being approached from Mr.Chazz? What evidence or reasoning supports it? So sometimes we might not get that in a video because there are questions that have to come from it that might prompt us to be better researchers. So from here, you're really just going deeper into the idea or the concept with intentionality. So then we have decide. So here you choose whether to invest in the idea or not. So you're going to make an informed decision about, is this idea valuable enough to incorporate in my life? What benefits might it bring? So whenever we're investing in the stock market, do we already buy this product? Is it already benefit us? This is why we buy it. And because we see value in it, we actually purchase it ourselves. So we know. So for me, I would consider myself both in the ad space where I'm investing in this and also in a creative space because I'm inspired by the content to produce more content. And as I am right now producing content from his message. Support, and that's where we get the S from. So will you have a plan for implementation? So sometimes we'll invest in an idea. We might even invest in the stock market, but we might not put our plan together so we know that this is going to be valuable and worth it. We're not just going to try once and think that because it didn't happen that one time that it's no good, or the first time that we invest in that stock market that it's not going to be helpful. What we're going to do here is we're going to put a plan together. For 30, 60, or 90 days, I am going to practice with this one approach or this one idea and see if it works. Or I might purchase the book and read it and see if there's any other information that I can use to start implementing that I feel comfortable with. Those are parts of implementing a plan. And so for CAB, this is the one that I did today, which is it empowers you to generate and share your own ideas, contribute to the marketplace or thoughts. It gives you the opportunity to transform from a consumer and a buyer to a creator. So you don't just have to consume products. You don't also just have to invest in a product. You can create your own products, which is probably one of the hardest things that we see in the marketplace is that some people become entrepreneurs and they stop because they don't have the capital to do so or the resources, as we would say, as far as how to do the things that we want to do so bad. There are a lot of people who want to be entrepreneurs, but it takes a lot of thought and execution, mostly action. And you have to go out there and be afraid of failure. I mean, not afraid of failure. You cannot be afraid of failure. This is one thing that I learned this week is, man, there's so many different ways that you can turn, and there might be a spam or it's scam or someone is going to lead you in the wrong direction because they really don't know what they're doing. But the opportunity reveals itself because once you keep trying and keep failing, you'll start to learn what ways to go and what not to do because you start to gather this data and then you can start to implement that and then become the creator that you want, whether that is an entrepreneur or creative content or just a creator and the content of your character as you share this message and implement it in your behavior. So my favorite would be the CAP. So C is to develop your own ideas. So what new ideas can I bring to the table? How can I build upon what I've learned as example? So you're brainstorming and formulating new ideas or perspectives to add to what Mr. Chazz has said, or any other content that we're consuming. Again, remember, this is the framework that we're going to use with a lot of the content that we're consuming together. Articulate. So express your ideas clearly. Organize your thoughts into a coherent format. So how do I want to best communicate my ideas in which medium? So the ideas is just writing or video or art. Journaling is our favorite thing to do here. You can also be able to go out into the world and also just represent. I would say I am an advocate for gentle parenting. I represent that. I'm being creating that in my own life. So that's a mix between the ads experience framework and the CAP experience, because I want to be both a creator and an investor in this idea. And then last for CAP, we have publish. So share your ideas. Publish. Share your ideas with others. What does this look like? Release your content into the world. Where and how will I share this? Who is my intended audience? So I want to thank you all for being here. My in friends, you are my intended audience. And I want to explain that my in friends are those who are willing, who have a desire not only for consuming content in a creative way, but also applying biblical principles to their framework and living life. And so that's what I do here. You don't always have to believe the same thing that I believe in, but you might be interested in the processes and applying it to your own work and your own critical thinking and self-awareness journey. Well, I want to thank you all for sharing your time with me. Until next time, hold on to you as much as you can. Hold on to your health, your well-being, and your mindset. Bye.